Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Anstutz, joined by Kim Hatcher. We're happy you could join us. Kim, how are you doing today?
Doing great. It is what is today? Day 4 of a break. And it's really nice. I was able to go rock climbing. So before disc golf became my thing, before I even met my husband, I loved rock climbing. And there's this gym in South Florida called Project Rock where the walls are 60 feet tall. And
that's like half of Josh.
Yeah. I've been dying to take Josh because they're so much fun. And we finally went and it was so funny. Josh he finished 2 walls.
Mm-hmm.
I did 6. He got down for the first one. I was like, that was high. I was like, yeah, buddy. Yeah, it's 60 feet. It's high. He was like, wow. So he did 1 tall wall, 1 short, and then I did 5 tall ones, and then I ended on a short one just to kind of like finish off. But it was nice to get back into it. It was really nice to show Josh something that I love doing. That's something that he's not good at.
Which is surprising because he's like halfway up the wall just by starting. So
you would think, yeah. Rock climbing's a lot more technique than it is about strength and height. So it was funny. Especially there was one route where he couldn't do, and I did it, but I had some parts where I had to like stop, reset, and re-go. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Good. Glad you got to do that. It's always nice to kind of revisit what you used to enjoy and remember that, especially when we're doing things at a higher, more competitive level as like our normal day-to-day hobby. Sometimes it's nice to remember that other things are hobbies and you can have fun, which I guess kind of brings us to how did Worlds go, Kim?
How did Worlds go? I need to put a disclaimer on this because I feel like it might happen. I am an emotional person. I'm just going to say that right now because if I start crying, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm just an emotional person. Worlds was Worlds. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and I'm happy I learned a lot. I do truly feel like I learned a lot. Like no one had to sit down and tell me like, oh, but look at the positives. Like I looked at the positives and I definitely could see a lot, but it was an adventure, and I wish it was better. I think me, Josh, and Crow all feel the same way because all 3 of us were at the Airbnb together and just a lot of defeated moments. So for anybody who didn't really listen last week when you and Hoffy were on or didn't really pay attention, and honestly, PDGA and the PGA site haven't been posting a ton about it. So that's honestly, it's kind of nice because it's validating me that like it was a different template almost.
Yeah.
So day 1, Tuesday, the Canadian smoke from the wildfires reached us and it got too high. It had got to a point where they had to pause play, caused day 2 to be canceled. Day 3 was chaos. Day 4 was chaos. I did not have 1 full round without stoppage until the last day.
Until Saturday when you started on Tuesday.
Yes. So.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I don't remember if we talked about this. Probably didn't because we didn't really know how things were shaping up when we recorded this time last week. And this is not me remotely trying to take away anything from either of the winners. But there is definitely a score disparity between those who got to play full rounds and those who had to stop and go. Like that Axel kid is a beast. Played with him at Masters Cup, played against him at Masters Cup, and he beat the field by like 6 strokes. The fact that he won was not shocking at all. The woman who won your division won by a country mile as well. Like she played so damn well. I wish for you that you could have had straightforward rounds. Josh was telling me all week how tough those courses were.
Yeah.
Like I called Josh at one point during one of your many rain delays as well. And his dad, who was on the bag for you and for him, I was like, Tara, how are you doing? How are you enjoying it? And he just goes, everything hurts. my ankles hurt, my legs hurt, my butt hurts. Like
Yeah.
everything is just painful because not only are you doing the stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, but it's a very, very hilly course, or two very, very hilly courses. It's not terrain that we're used to. I was watching the coverage that you were on. I mean,
Yeah, that
there's
was
a
fun.
lot of, if you hit your lines, you were rewarded with a good putt at birdie. If you didn't, you were punished, and you're punished severely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that any of them were, again, this is from just watching coverage. I wouldn't say that any of those were unfair, but to not be able to get into a mental groove, I can't imagine how tough it was to actually be there, because it was painful to watch, like just day to
Like
day.
the mental side of the game has been always tough for me. I
Mm-hmm.
never was good at the mental side of softball. And that's something that's always followed me. I didn't have the best coaches. I had coaches that were very verbally, I hate saying the word abusive, but like it was tough. And I still hear them in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
not not going out and performing well, even with all the shit that happened, it definitely it felt I felt like in I felt like 19-year-old Kim getting yelled at. I like
Yeah.
it really it took a toll on me. I felt like I was back to being that kid who was told that I would never be anything because I couldn't handle the mental side of the game. I couldn't handle college ball. It was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely tough. And I don't want to take away anything from the winners because Hannah kicked butt. Hannah's who won FA1, and I like amazing job on her. She played her game and that was awesome. But like I don't mean to be rude, but Hannah didn't get a delay in her round. She got a delay on her second round only. She got to
Mm-hmm.
play 3 full rounds of disc golf.
Right.
And it's just tough. I mean, watching the coverage back, 11, not even 11, we got to hole 11, so I guess like 11 and a half holes in, right before we got pulled off. I was playing well. I
Yeah.
was like one over. I was zooming. I was having a wonderful time. People were telling me like you're gonna be nervous getting recorded. I was having a blast. The camera guys were my best friends. Steven was the guy hanging out with us on the tee pad, and
Mm-hmm.
Isaac was hanging down in the fairway. Like I was having a wonderful time. And
Yeah. Like
it's just, yeah.
I could tell from watching the coverage that your demeanor was completely different. Like you
Yeah.
were, those first 11 holes, I was like, that's our Kim, just joking, smiling. Oh,
I was
like
having
I
a great
see you
time.
chatting in the background, like cheering for everybody like you always do. And then, man, that morning round, it just,
Yeah,
I don't know
so
this. I don't know if this is unfair to say, but you were like carrying yourself differently. You were a lot more
I
like
was.
business like, which is not generally how I see you play well. And
Nope. I was just trying to be focused.
mm-hmm.
And if I loved, so the courses that the boys played were insane. I never want to play those courses, but the girl courses I felt like were fair. I liked Northwood Blue. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. They're very technical, but I still felt like I was able to throw distance drivers, and I got to throw my mids a lot, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Sunset Hills, I love Sunset. I thought that was a blast playing a golf course that was a lot towards women, and it it's just tough. And like looking back, I wish it was different, and it's not, and that's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
the amount of support I have gotten has been absolutely incredible. And knowing that there's that many people in my corner, but boy, it was crazy. And Josh, this technically day 3, but technically the second rounds, we were up very early. I had to finish my 7:20 round. I had to finish my round from Tuesday on Thursday at 7:20 a.m. So we had to finish 7.5 holes. I think 7.5. And then maybe 6.5. I can't do math. It's fine. And then we had to wait around 4 hours, 3 hours to tee off at the same time as Tuesday with the same group and we went into a 4-hour lightning delay. So from the time I ended my round, I had 7 hours just to sit there and think about how everything went, knowing I had to play the same exact course again and like had to figure it out. And I was doing okay. I definitely felt like I was struggling again, just getting into a zone. And around hole 13, 14, and 13, 14 back when it gets started back in the woods and it's really tricky, like that stretch is it's just tough.
Yeah.
And we get text messages saying that if you don't finish your round by 8:30, you have to come the next day and finish it at 6 a.m. And wow. I think definitely that definitely affected me, because I was like, I don't want to fucking be here. So the girls, we were like, okay, let's just hustle. Let's get through this. And we felt like we did a good job of not rushing, but it definitely affected us. We knew we needed to go. And Skippy, who was my homeboy, he was the course marshal who I became BFFs with because we hung out a lot because there was a lot of delays. Skippy kept coming up to us and was like, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. And he came up to us a couple times and finally came up to us again and goes, you've got special permission. You girls are going to finish, because we were the last card. We were the feature card from Tuesday, but we were still the same tee time. So we were the 12-10 card, and we finished at 8:50.
Yeah, I remember tracking it. I was like, I'm going to bed and Kim's not done yet.
Yeah, it was dark. Luckily they had like all the course marshals, because all the boys couldn't finish. So all the course marshals came over to us. Hole 18 is very open, very bright. And they walked with us and made sure nobody lost a disc and pointed it out. And it wasn't that bad. But there's nothing like waking up at 6 a.m. and not finishing till 9 p.m. at night and having to feel like you have to stay on, because in between rounds, like you're still on, like you're still trying to like digest, get through it. We went out to eat afterwards because we had to eat. And I just remember looking at Josh and he was looking at me, and we've never DNF'd in our lives. And we thought about it. It was definitely.
The DNF list was insane. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people, a lot of really good players too. It was just unfortunate because the PDGA, I mean, they were in a no-win situation.
Oh, but they did such a good job. Let me just say this. The PDGA did the absolute best they could have possibly done.
Right.
Their communication was a little trash. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say how it is. It was a little trash. They would say update at 2:30, and then it would be like 3:45, and we wouldn't have an update. So it was a little. They could have done a little bit better with at least going, hey, we're still working on it. Or we haven't come up with anything, we're still working on it. Something.
Yeah.
But they did the best they could have done. And there was an app for Am Worlds, and they had discussion posts, or like think Facebook style, and people were commenting the funniest things, and they were being rude. They were just being jerks. They're like, we're never coming back again. This is ridiculous. Let us play. And I'm like, you need to calm down. It's like it's monsooning outside and you just want to go play. No. So there was like, see, I'm smiling now because like there were moments where we were cracking up, but like there were moments where we looked at each other and we were like, especially me, who begged to get off of work, and I was able to do it, and I was able to come, and I was so excited. It did feel like I let people down. It felt like that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about expectations and that sort of thing, because I think that is something that takes a lot of learning and unfortunately experiences like this to learn how to handle expectations, whether it's set on you or set on you by yourself or by other people. Because I remember my last MA2 tournament, I was the highest rated by a pretty significant margin. I was one of those people who was almost rated out, and I thought, well, I have to win this. Like I'm the highest rated. There's no reason for me not to. And I got super in my head. And as soon as that first round started not going as well as I expected, and like I think two guys on my card were beating me by maybe a stroke apiece, I started getting in my head, like, I'm playing bad, I'm playing bad, I'm playing bad, I'm playing bad. And I think that's something that's difficult to overcome, but you have to learn it through the school of hard knocks. It's not something that it's very easy for people to go, well, just don't worry about it. But how do you feel
So
about that?
I honestly feel like I went in with a correct attitude. I went
Hmm.
in excited. I went in, I even posted it on Instagram. I said I was just going to enjoy the moment. That was my
Okay.
goal.
Yeah.
And I felt like I went in with the right mindset. And the times where my mindset really struggled was when I looked at the scores and the ratings.
Hmm.
That's when I felt embarrassed. I never felt embarrassed in the moment or anything like this because I always felt like I was playing fine,
Hmm.
except back nine coverage. If anybody wants to see what a shit show real looks like, back nine coverage. I was struggling. I took a quint bogey on 18. It's fine. Everything's fine, but I didn't lose a disc, and that's important. Um, I felt embarrassed in that because I felt good. The last round at Sunset, which is the golf course, I easily had 5 strokes that
Hmm.
were dedicated to hazards or OBs. And I was like,
Hmm.
I can't be mad at that. The hazard is quite literally 5 feet from the basket. What am I going to do? And
Hmm.
it just, uh, setting good expectations is important. And I truly feel like maybe I could have done better if the situations were better because I did feel like I went in with just, I'm going to just enjoy it and
Hmm.
all that fun stuff. But I do think it's important that no one's going to look back in 2 years, 10 years, 12 years, how many ever years, and look back at this tournament and go, look how bad she played. And that was something that was playing in my head. That was the negative, intrusive thoughts that were going, oh yeah, this is they're gonna hold this against me. No one's gonna do that.
Right.
If you go in being well and you don't play well, it's going to happen and no
Hmm.
one's going to hold it against you because we all have been there. And if you haven't been there, you're not playing at the level.
Hmm.
Like, I have never been here. I could have probably said that 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I would like, I've never dealt with that. That's because I wasn't playing high level competition.
Hmm.
Like, I was going in doing fine and not playing well and still winning. And now I'm not playing well and not doing well. And that's okay. And we've all been there. And understanding that and hearing so many people in my corner was really helpful in that. But
Hmm.
yeah, setting expectations really can be killer and can be super helpful.
Hmm. Going in with the right mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think speaking from experience, my 2 wins came from tournaments where I knew I could play those courses well, but I went in and said, we're going to play the best that I can, and we'll see where I am with 4 holes to go in the tournament. That's it. I in both of those situations, I was one of the higher rated players, but I knew that anybody could pop off, anybody could do it, and my I set my expectations as I'm going to play the best that I can that day.
You know, looking back, so my whole first round was on coverage. I was able to be on the feature card, which is super fun because it was an international card, and I was the U.S. ambassador. I got to play with Bree from
That's awesome.
Canada, Amy from New Zealand, and Maria's from France and Colombia. We had such a good time. I got to play with them for 2 rounds, and definitely I made friends.
Hmm.
But I was listening to the coverage. My parents really wanted to watch it. And as emotional as I was getting watching the back nine, I knew I needed to watch it. And the commentators were so nice.
Hmm.
Not even that, the way they were talking about me, I realized how much of a good person that I am on a card with people. All they were talking about me was how my personality was, how like she's just having fun, she's just relaxed, she's just enjoying the game. And they made some other comments that were really just I'm a goofball sometimes. And they're like, she's just loose, like she's just enjoying it. Like Kim's got a big personality. And hearing people who I've never played with, the commentators, I didn't get to play with them,
Hmm.
hearing them say that about me, like, although I wasn't playing well, it's nice that nobody was able to see that I was having a hard time. I mean, I guess this can be a disc golf reference, but why not make it a softball reference? When I used to coach, I used to tell the girls, especially the pitchers, said, don't let anybody who walk by know what the score is by how you're playing, by how you look. Your
Hmm.
body language should say that the game is 0-0, whether you're up 15 or you're down 15. Like you should be not neutral, but like you should be relaxed.
Right.
And I didn't realize how true my own statements were, because hearing the commentators talk about that, taking the emotional side out, taking everything out, watching myself play, even in hole 17 where I didn't do so well, I shanked it a little bit, but got a par. You would never know that I just took a bad bogey and that I just, you would never know. Even putting out on 18, I was smiling. I was having a great time. And that like, I hate when people are those people that you don't want to play with on a card, that are, their emotions are crap and you're going to feel it. Like, if anything, I hope like the girls I played with, Bree, Amy, and Maria, felt that even though I was struggling, that they were enjoying the game like I was, and I didn't influence them in a bad way. So definitely a positive.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you. U.S. Women's is next. I'm ready.
You're going to have more fun than anybody there, just knowing you. And if you want to prepare for U.S. Women's, maybe buy yourself some discs. Get ready for that, because that's in September.
Yep.
So if you want to buy some discs to practice with, should go on over to our friends at the disc shop. And if you really you're not sure about buying discs, why don't you do it for 10% off when you use our code MDGPOD?
Ooh, I love it, because if it's on sale, it feels better. How much is it? 10% off?
10% off.
That's nice.
And you can go check out their new website. I guess, how long is something new before it's not? Like, that could be its own podcast in of itself. I'm gonna call
I have no idea.
Let's get deeply philosophical. No, go check out their new website, and at checkout, use the code MDGPOD for 10% off, or mention that you're a listener in store.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And also, one of our good friends loves the disc shop.
You have friends?
I do have friends. His name is Matt Hoffman. Sometimes he gets pretty heated.
Matt Tata.
Backstory on that: we have a buddy that is Matt with one T, and then Matt Hoffman is Matt with two T's. So we just started referring to him as Mattata. But anyway, why don't we move on to our fan favorite segment, Coffee Heaters, brought to you by Spikeheiser Dies. This is where our social media manager, Matt Hoffman, gives his hot takes on things that nobody else is talking about. Maybe that's for a good reason.
Probably.
More than likely.
This week on Hoffy's Heater, I have a very interesting take on something that may not even really be a heater, but something I just see a lot of courses doing that I'm just not becoming a fan of. And I noticed it really badly at this year's preserve along the water of the course. And what I noticed was courses are moving away from the natural design of the land and implementing OB that goes against what the course's layout should be. Now, why I'm saying the preserve in this instance was along the water in the river at the preserve, they were taking the OB 2-3 feet off of the water's edge, making the OB about 3 feet and then the water as well. And I felt like a lot of players didn't like that, and a lot of commentary spoke out against it, saying that they did not like the way that course was built on that factor. And I had to agree. I thought that why not just use the water as OB? It doesn't matter that it lands in slightly taller grass. I just felt like they made the course easier at the same time as harder. I mean, look at Ricky's score. The course in some points of it was very easy, but they tried to make it harder in a way that I just didn't think worked. And I think a lot of courses are trying to do that as well. And right now I'm trying to say stop doing it. I think let the course and the nature that it provides be part of the way you design it. Don't take away from the fact that that course is built that way because you want to make it harder, you want to make it better designed. Let the water, let the woods, let the tall grass and the trees really design your course.
Interesting.
I'm so ready. Oh gosh, he said that and I was like, yes. Why are we doing that? Why is OB 3 feet off the water?
Why? It was definitely strange. Like, I'm used to that because that's a thing in ball golf. OB, or the hazard, isn't down to the water line. It's usually a few feet off, but the difference is you can actually play from there. You just can't ground your club. Whereas in disc golf, you cannot play from there. So I think that's just weird, especially because disc golf is such a nature influenced sport. Like there's not a lot of sports where you can use the land that you're on as part of the obstacle.
Dude, this happened at US Women's. That's next month or 2 months, whatever it is. This happened at Worlds. We were playing fourth round, Sunset Hills. I was having a great time. This girl and I, her name's Angelica. We were having a great time. We were like matching shots. She would shank a shot. I would shank my shot in the same spot. She would throw a killer drive. I'd throw a killer drive. And we were playing this hole and it had a lot of hazards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. I ran my putt. Headwind took it, landed in the hazard. I didn't care. I was like, ooh, that was a good one. That was a good one. Mm-hmm. She lays up and it just rolled away slightly. But from where we were standing, we're like, oh, you're not in the sand at all. You're fine. You're like, she was all grass, not like a half, all grass. We walk up there. The spray painted line for the hazard was a foot off of the dirt or the sand.
And that's really challenging because then you don't have any visual cues as to like where you're supposed to put it.
No. And honestly, I felt so bad for her because I looked at her because I had to go putt mine. Mine was further back. And I looked at her and I said, it's in the OB. Or it's in the hazard. And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And there were clear lines. They had the sand, patch of grass, her disc, a little bit more grass, and then the spray painted line. It was ridiculous. Why are we spray painting that far off of the sand? I get why the sand is OB, the sand or the hazard. It is that because they don't want you in there very often. We wanted to make sure you're out of it as much as possible. So if we make it a penalty, you'll be in there less. I decided it was more fun to have penalties, so I was in there a lot. But like, if she is clearly not in, why is it an OB stroke?
Yeah, especially because there is no option. Like, there's no option of, like in ball golf, you could play from there without a penalty. You just have to change up your shot a little bit. That's just straight up. You went in there in the painted line. And I'm struggling. I struggle with this too because it's easy. I used to be like super, super against any artificial OB. And right now I'm working on a safari layout for a tournament. Spoiler, I think I referenced that a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And there are a couple spots where I have artificial OB to protect something or give a hole that's kind of a nothing burger.
A little pizzazz, a little
something.
zhuzh.
Yeah. But I think like I'm definitely going to be trying to make sure that features of the area, features of the course are setting the boundaries and setting the lines for me. And I'm just painting them to make sure that it's clear.
If we have rules that state if a disc is slightly on land, that has to be completely surrounded by water. If we have that rule, then why are we pulling OB 3 feet off the water when we have a rule that helps us with that? Because maybe the reasoning is to help more define line, like you automatically know, but you're changing the way the game is getting played in different spots. It feels like TSA. Like TSA is different in Little Rock than it is in Orlando. Why is the OB line 3 feet in Minnesota, but it's on the water line in Florida?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, I could, just to play devil's advocate here, see it being a pace to play thing instead of doing the whole pressing down on the disc, see if it's surrounded by water, or like trying to figure out if there's a blade of grass underneath the disc in the bunker, in the sand bunker. Like I can see where that would speed up pace of play, especially with that many players like there were at Worlds. But Pro Tour, you have spotters. Yeah, like, and how often are you really running into that situation where it would affect pace of play that much? I don't know. It's weird. I know at Worlds in 2021 they ran into that issue where they're repainting lines and moving OB lines to make them more clear, but in turn changed how the course is being played, like you were referring to. I think it's just a recipe for disaster. I agree with Hoffy.
I agree. It was quite the heater. And if you want a disc that is an absolute heater, go check out Spy Kaiser Dice. Now, we're not just saying that because he's cool and all. His stuff is legit, and he'll do anything you want him to do. He'll do custom stuff. If you check out his Etsy shop, he'll do stuff. So check him out on his Instagram at Spy Kaiser Dice. So it's shdies_DG. He's got such good things. He got me this Venom as a good luck present for Worlds. So pretty. And I got to throw it on one of the holes. So if you want to watch the coverage, front 9, hole 4, I threw the Venom. Mwah, magnifique. So good.
Yeah, dyed discs fly better, especially when they're from Spy Kaiser Dies.
Heck yeah. Excellent spy design.
All right, Kim, let's talk about this.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
So we appreciate all of our listeners, but this will be our last episode for a while.
Just for a while.
We're going to be back, but we're going to take a little bit of a break. We want to be providing really good quality content.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And when the Florida AM season is kind of over because it's death outside.
It is death. It is, in fact, death.
And everybody else, there are people who watch coverage and report on the Pro Tour for a living that are going to be able to provide, honestly, better coverage than we could, than just us rehashing what we saw on TV. We just want to provide more focused interviews, and so we're going to be switching up to a season approach, where we're going to have a specific topic, like say fitness and disc golf, or a whole season on course design, where we talk to course designers, we talk to AMs, we talk to pros, maybe we talk about, I don't know, sustainability in disc golf and how sustainable is it actually. Try to cover both sides of different stories and really try to, we see that everybody likes the interviews a lot, so that's what we want to provide.
Yeah, definitely. We just want to make sure that we're putting out quality, and it can get tough, especially in that spring section, because the pros want to focus on the pros and they want to focus on their performance at the tour events, and we're coming, hey, do you got a break? Do you want to talk to us? Which they do, but they also want to focus on their games. So we do feel like maybe if we kind of take a step back and refocus and twist it in, we can get more people in and more interviews and talk to the people and really get what's going on inside their heads without interrupting their performance.
Absolutely. And at this moment, we're unsure of when the next season will be or what that topic that we're focusing on will be, but we will be sure to let you know on our Instagrams. And we're excited. If you have anything that you'd like us to cover in depth,
yeah,
maybe
let
be a little
us
bit
know.
more of an investigative disc golf podcast, let us know. Well, that wraps it up for today. You can find Kim on Instagram at Kim the Great and me at Evan Amstutz DG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you want to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday after our break at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in a review. And if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre. Have a good day.